When they think of the brand, they think of you. Welcome everybody to another episode of Windshield Wisdom. Yours Bruley here. On my way to the office. Wanted to shoot you this video because I was thinking about everybody who subscribes to this channel, Coach BrewTube, my readers, my podcast listeners, my tribe. And I want to share with you, it's a story and it's a great piece of advice that I got a long time ago. Where this originated, why this came about, I'll start with that, is I'm helping a friend prep for a job interview. And it's in media sales. And he's a good colleague. Asked me about next steps with an interview, and it's kind of like differentiating yourself in the market and your sales team. So that's where you're all in this story. Got to differentiate yourself in a crowded, cluttered, commoditized market where there's just a lot of noise. And if there's one thing in media sales that runs rampant, it's selling to ratings. You know, we have the number one rock station in the market, and that's why we can justify the price that we have. Never mind, getting actual results. It's more vanity marketing, vanity metrics. We can reach X number of audience members. Anyway, it's everyone doing the same thing. Selling to ratings, this imaginary audience that they've convinced themselves exists in large numbers. So how do you compete with that when you're not the number one rated show, station, whatever? How do you compete when you're not number one in your market or your industry in anything? When they think of the brand, they think of you. That's how. And that's the best advice that I got from one of my mentors, Jeff Androlonis. When I worked for him at ESPN Radio, I did this is Coach Brew version 1.0. When I got retired from coaching, fired, in 2004, I went to work hosting a show. I was a talking head, doing a sports talk show in the evenings for ESPN Radio in the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina. And I sold advertising and sponsorship as well as the sales manager for the station. Tiny 1,000-watt AM radio station in a large market just outside the top 100 markets in the U.S. With a lot of big flamethrower FM signals, 100,000, 150,000 watt FM radio stations. So how do we compete? Well, the advice Jeff gave me, and it's the advice I'm giving you and I gave my friend, is when they think of the brand, I want them to think of you. So he told me, when someone hears ESPN radio, I want them to think of John Brubaker. I don't want them to think of ESPN radio, I want them to think of you. And that's what I'm telling you right now, is when someone thinks of the brand that you either own or represent, you're the brand. They think of you, and not anything or anyone else. And that's the reality of sales. And Jeff was a master salesman and negotiator. That is the essence of sales. Before they buy your product or service or your brand, really the customer or the prospect is buying you, the brand that is you incorporated, so to speak. So that's my advice for my friend who's a candidate. He's a finalist for a director of sales job for a media company. And when they ask him how to differentiate, how do the individual sales reps, how should they market themselves, what would you do if you came into this market, and how would you train and work with the sales reps? My best advice was for them to market themselves as a brand. They are uniquely themselves in a market filled with a lot of brands that are really just copycats and bootleg versions of whoever the number one station is, whatever the number one show is in that market. So it's about positioning, and that is true not just in media, but it's true in anything. think of this car I'm driving. I drive a Toyota RAV4. Highly recommend. 5 stars. Highly recommend. But it's really not all that different than a Honda CR-V. My wife's Toyota Highlander SUV is not all that different than a Honda Pilot SUV. In fact, we had a Honda Pilot before we bought the Highlander. So really, what did I buy? I went out looking for sales rep. I wasn't necessarily really looking for a car. I was looking for a good car salesman. Someone that I knew, liked, and trusted. And when I bought both of my Toyotas, but I specifically remember when I bought this one, the sales rep, his name's Rich. Shout out to Rich at Emerson Toyota. He said, hey, listen, there are a lot of cars that are awfully similar, a lot of SUVs that are awfully similar. I want to make sure I personally make this the easiest transaction, the most comfortable and easiest transaction, those are his exact words, that you've ever had in your life buying anything. And he did that. He set the expectation and he lived up to it. And when I need to get my vehicle serviced, they don't have loaner vehicles. They have a shuttle that'll take you wherever you need to go in town. You want to go get coffee or whatever while you're getting your oil changed. The shuttle will take you there and it'll pick you up and bring you back. Or you just wait in the lobby. Well, with Rich, whenever I get my vehicle serviced or my wife's vehicle serviced, he loans me his Lexus. Fully loaded Lexus. Loans it to me to use. I'm sold on him more than I'm sold on Toyota, a RAV4. When I think of the Toyota dealership, when I think of the Toyota brand, I think of how comfortable and how easy Rich made my transaction and how he's continued to live up to that and just over-delivered above and beyond with everything since then. It wasn't a one-off sale, it was a relationship. That's building yourself as a brand within the brand you work for. And even if you are the owner of a business, you're a solopreneur, let's say you have an LLC and you're a consultant or a coach or a speaker or whatever you are. Sure, your company has, the company name in the LLC filing with the state, or the company name on the sign out in front of your office. People aren't sold on that first, they're sold on you. Your name, your face, your reputation, your words and deeds, making sure they are congruent. Do you do what you said you would do, when you said you would do it, the way you said you would do it, even if it's not convenient for you? So think about my car guy, my sales guy. Probably wasn't convenient for him to loan me his car whenever I come in to get my vehicle serviced. Maybe he needs to be somewhere. Maybe he needs to do something. Maybe it's a little dirty and he's got to clean it out, and it's a pain in the butt for him to do. He does it. Why? He made a commitment. And you are the brand that is uniquely you, 24/7, 365 days out of the year, that never takes a day off. Your brand is a promise and it never takes a day off. So it's my best advice for my friend and colleague who's interviewing for a job, and it's my best advice for you, and that is simply to make sure people are sold on you. Brand yourself, market yourself, position yourself well before the company's brand. You'll never go wrong if you do that, I promise. You will never go wrong if you do that. There's a little glare over here. Anyway, I promise you, that's the best advice I can give you, because it's the best advice I've ever gotten and has never failed me. So when you see my marketing, you see my message, you see what I do, you see me walking my talk. I brand me above and beyond all else, because I know people are sold on you. And I try and make sure that my words and deeds align. Everything I say, I do. I walk my talk. I model the behavior that I coach. I model the strategies that my clients use. And I'll leave you with that. People are sold on you before they're sold on your brand. And when they think of a brand that you represent, make sure they think of you. So that's this episode of Windshield Wisdom. I want to encourage you, if you found this valuable, to go ahead, like, subscribe, share, either down here or up there, or I don't know where. Like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and head on over to CoachBrew.com. There's lots more content, strategy, lessons like this, a little more of a deep dive. You go to CoachBrew.com, subscribe for my e-newsletter, and that's where all this gets delivered. Articles, podcasts, videos like this. And when you do that, you get a very special bonus that typically only is reserved for my inner circle. It's a complimentary copy of my inner circle newsletter. It's a premium newsletter, $99 a month, and you're getting an issue for free. That issue is titled 12 Ways to Double Your Sales and Double Your Results. I promise you it will do exactly that. And that'll give you a taste for what it's like in my inner circle. And if you want more information on all of that, just head on over to CoachBrew.com. We'll catch you next time on the next episode of Windshield Wisdom.